It is always a pleasure to come back to this campus, the campus of one of the most prestigious educational institutions in our country, rated among all the universities in the Philippines as, in the entire nationwide survey, rated number 9, and in Manila and the rest of the National Capital Region, rated number 5, the great Adamson University. Today I was diagnosed with hypertension, and you know that like most of your parents, when they are having an attack, I was ordered by the doctor to stay at home and try and keep quiet. But I decided to come anyway. My speech today will be a little bit longer than usual because in addition to the topic that you have assigned to me, I wish to say a few words as a constitutional scholar on the present controversy concerning the cybercrime law. But unfortunately, we'll have to forego the question and answer. Maybe you can invite me some other time when I am more healthy. After the photo opportunity, I will have to leave immediately so that my family will not be very concerned about my health. So that is what we shall do today. But first, I want to ask you a few questions. Ito, unang pagtatanong. Anong pinagkapareho ng sperm at mga politiko? Anong pinagkapareho ng sperm at ng mga politiko? Pareho silang may 1 in a million chance na maging totoong tao. Ang pag-ibig natin ay hindi parang Facebook. Pwedeng i-like, pwede rin mag-comment, pero hindi dapat i-share. Mabuti pa si Sleeping Beauty. Nagising lang, may boyfriend na agad. Samantalang ikaw, wala pa rin kahit luwa na ang mata mo. Ang crush, parang math problem. Kung hindi mo makuha, titigan mo na lang. Pupunta ka ba sa gym? Kasi feeling ko, mag-workout tayo. Ang pagmamahal ko sa iyo ay parang bilbil. Pilit kong tinatago, halata pa rin. Gulong ka ba? Kasi ang sarap ingudngod ng paikot-ikot. Kasi ang sarap ingudngod ng paikot-ikot ang mukha mo sa lupa. Ang relasyon ay parang gubat. Madalas may ahas. Sino sa inyo dito naliligaw ngayon sa kasalukuyan? Pick-up line para sa mga naliligaw. Kung isa akong joke, gusto ko yung mapipikon ka para naman seryosohin mo ako. Para sa crush mong lalaki. Wow! Saan gawa ang t-shirt mo? Gawa ba yan sa boyfriend material? Finally, taga Adamson ka ba? Bakit? Kasi nagit mo ang puso ko na parang soaring falcon. And then, just before we discuss the cybercrime law, very briefly, mga online activities na dapat ituring na cybercrime. Number 1, wrong grammar. Number 2, premature campaigning ng mga EPAL politicians. Number 3, photo albums na panay mukha mo lang ang laman. Hindi porke bagong hairdo mo, magpo-post ka na ng 100 pictures ng sarili mo. Pwede bang kasuhan ng cybercrime ang kaaway mo tuwing magpo-post siya ng bagong profile picture? Nakaka-offend kasi. Illegal dapat ang pagmumukha mo. Ladies and gentlemen, as a constitutional law scholar, please allow me to start with my belief that the present cybercrime law is unconstitutional. The prefix cyber relates to the culture of computers, information technology, the internet, and virtual reality. The term cybercrime refers to criminal activities carried out by means of computers or the internet. Just like any other human activity, the internet carries with it new avenues of illegal behavior. The internet makes it easier to commit certain crimes such as dissemination of pornography, copyright infringement, and defamation. Kung minsan, nagtataka ako kung anong ginagawa ng mga kasamahan ko sa Senado dahil hindi naman nakikinig, hindi naman nakikisali. Pupunta sila sa laut, nanonood sila ng TV. Sa palagay ko siguro may mga dala-dala yung mga laptop o kaya mga tablet. Baka nanonood ng pornography. Well, that's how easy it is to access pornography. The internet also gives runs to crimes exclusive to the internet, such as computer hacking and misuse. And the internet can make certain crimes complicated because they could be illegal in some countries but not in others. Computer misuse was dramatically demonstrated in 2000 when a Filipino hacker attacked and destroyed data in 45 million computers. Filipino hacker. He created a virus that the media called the love bug because it used the subject line, "I love you," in the emails that carried it. The estimated cost in damages was $10 billion. The Filipino was never punished because the Philippines at that time had no law criminalizing computer misuse. Accordingly, in 2001, the Council of Europe drafted the Cybercrime Convention in Budapest. The Philippines is not yet a party to this treaty. If we become a party, the Philippines would be duty-bound to adopt a Cybercrime Prevention Act. But the Philippine Congress has already anticipated future global pressure to end computer abuse. Kaya, bandang huli, magiging party din tayo to that convention and it will become our duty as a party to pass the Cybercrime Act. Kaya inunahan lang natin, nauna lang tayo sa kinakailangan sa ating globalizing economy. In the United States, there are several laws to protect the public from computer misuse, notably the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, and the 1996 Telecommunications Act. Although the U.S. considers internet gambling to be illegal, this year 3 bills were filed to legalize internet gambling in America. You see, even in the United States, people are confused what to do with the new technology. We have to invent a new grammar, a new vocabulary, and we have in effect to reinvent our entire social engineering process. As economics and business students, you are already aware that cybercrime works a prejudice in e-commerce. Companies with online operations are subject to credit card fraud, identity theft, phishing, PHISHING, and intellectual property crimes. Cybercriminals continue to negatively impact e-commerce. In short, in today's world, cybercrime prevention is a necessity. This is why I was active during the interpellation and amendment periods of the Cybercrime Prevention Act. Unfortunately, I was absent because of hypertension during the voting period. Kita na ninyo? Pag hypertension, hindi ako makapunta sa Senado. Pero maski may hypertension, pupunta ako sa Adamson University. IQ dito. In my humble opinion, the law as presently worded is unconstitutional. In our Constitution, freedom of speech occupies a so-called preferred position. In his immortal argument for, quote, a marketplace of ideas, unquote, the great Justice Holmes wrote, they may come to believe that the ultimate good desired is better reached by free trade in ideas, that the best test of truth is the power of the thought to get itself accepted in the computation of the market. Kung meron kang idea, di pumunta ka doon sa palengke ng mga ideas, mga pag-iisipan, para all of these thoughts will collide with each other, at ang pinakamaganda, ang mananalo. That is the so-called marketplace of ideas. In fact, the constitutional provision in our Constitution, on its surface, sounds absolute. Notice this provision in our Constitution. No law shall be passed abridging the freedom of speech. Did you notice that? It sounds absolute. But because of the way this provision is worded, I humbly submit that while the general rule is that a law that is passed by Congress and signed by the President is presumed to be constitutional, there is an exception when the law limits free speech. All laws passed by Congress, if you bring it to the Supreme Court, they all enjoy a presumption of constitutionality. It is presumed to be constitutional. The burden of proof is on the person who is assailing the law, but not in the case of freedom of speech. If the